post-revolution period after the outbreak of the revolution. In 1792, the Legislative Assembly was dissolved and a new assembly called the National Convention was elected to power. So the Legislative Assembly, it was dissolved. Dissolved means it was destroyed. It was destroyed in 1792, and when it was destroyed, a new assembly came into power. A new assembly was elected to power, which is known as the National Convention. The National Convention abolished monarchy and established a republican form of government in France. So initially in France there was an absolute monarchy, a system where the country was ruled by the king or an emperor. The emperor or the king had the absolute power. He was the supreme authority in the country. So this monarchy, it was abolished by the National Convention, and they established a republican form of government, a government which is run by the people's representatives, which is run by the representatives who are elected by the people. So they abolished monarchy and they established a republican form of government in France. After a legal trial, Louis XVI was convicted of treason and was put to guillotine in January 1793. So Louis XVI, he had a legal trial. Legal trial means a legal examination, being examined by the court. So Louis XVI, he was examined. His deeds, his acts were all examined by the court, and he was convicted of treason. Convicted means to be found guilty. So he was found guilty of treason. Treason means betraying one's own country, being unfaithful to one's own country. So he was found guilty of being unfaithful to his own country, and he was put to guillotine in January 1793. Now guillotine, it is an instrument which is used to apply the capital punishment. Now you can see here, this guillotine, it has a frame-like structure, and inside it has a blade. So the person who's to be beheaded, he's put here, and this blade, it goes down. So he is beheaded in this guillotine. Beheaded means his head is cut off. So Louis XVI, he was put to guillotine. He was beheaded in the guillotine in January 1793. His wife Marie Antoinette was also executed in the same way in October 1793. So Louis XVI was beheaded on January 1793, and in the same way his wife Marie Antoinette was also beheaded in the similar way in October 1793. With the execution of Louis XVI, the monarchies of Europe were quite shocked. So when Louis XVI, he was executed, all the other monarchies of Europe, they became very shocked. They were very shocked to hear about the execution of Louis XVI. England, Spain, Holland, Prussia and Austria formed a coalition to fight against the French Republic. So they were very afraid, and they formed an organization. These countries, England, Spain, Holland, Prussia and Austria, they formed an organization in order to fight against the French Republic, because these countries, they were afraid that they would also be executed in the similar way. These wars put a heavy burden on French treasury and allowed the military to gain political power. So when these countries came together, there were constant wars happening. Frequent wars began to take place, and this put a heavy burden on the French treasury, because a lot of state money, a lot of the country money was being used in order to take part in these wars. So there was a huge burden on the French treasury, and the military also, they were able to gain the political power. At the same time, civil war broke out within France. Civil war means a war which is a war among the people of the same country, among the citizens of the same country. So the French people, they came out. A civil war broke out. The war among the citizens of the country, a war among the citizens of France, it broke out. And millions of peasants rose in revolt. So in this civil war, there were millions of peasants, millions of farmers took part in these wars. The revolts were crushed with great difficulty in September 1793. So the revolts, they were very severe. They were severe revolts. They were severe wars, and great effort was needed to crush, to put down these wars. So the revolts, they were crushed with great difficulty in September 1793. So this is about the period after the outbreak of the revolution. We learnt about the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen and about the post-revolution period. Now, the rest of the matter in your textbooks, it is omitted for you. You need not learn that. I want you all to read till here, till the post-revolution period. The question answers were already sent to you. Learn those question answers, and also the words to know and points to remember. Just go through the points to remember and make sure you complete the exercises in your textbooks. Thank you, girls.